Stuff. I think we just got to let it roll from like a improper, perfect, imperfect beginning. Do you know what I mean?
You're talking about the release?
Just like all the stuff, whatever's going on. Like, maybe not the microphone adjustment stuff, but it'll be a funny moment. Dude, because this whole idea came about in your house on your patio, the origin story with you would be incredible. And I feel like that'd be a great introduction to why we're sitting here together, because it's by virtue of being on your patio with you and Brenna and Claudia that this has come into the living room.
Yeah, that was the first encounter.
Yeah. So like, dude, I don't even recollect. Like some people say, like, where did you get this idea from? And I'm like, I don't remember if it was my idea or someone else said it or if it just came about. I don't remember.
You mean this?
Yeah, the idea of the podcast.
Oh, certainly through you.
Yeah?
Yes.
Was it not you and Brenna who were just like said something?
Well, this idea.
How did it come up?
This idea we recognized, I think, like it was coming through in the field in the sense of like feeling it. But your inspiration, like I'm going to like, I have a whole cart full of equipment that I'm like, and I'm ready to go dive into this, like just really sensing that you were bringing this alive. It was a spark that hit you.
Wow.
And then I was like, as soon as you like shared it like that, I just resonated with it so deeply. I was like, all right, like I'm just in, man. Like, and if you're feeling it here and just, like, let's dive into this. And here is where you brought it all forth into. Wow. How much of this was in your frame of reference, like in any sense from when you got started?
I had no idea. It was just unfolding. I had no idea. I thought it was going to be at your house at those chairs or something else. I had no idea. All I knew was like, I just need to focus on getting this equipment. And then it all came. And then there was this battle of like, this isn't nice enough of a setting, and then it's like, this is perfect.
Not epic enough as like the Casablanca porch looking
right. The beach and the ocean, all that stuff. I was like, we can't just do it in the living room. Yeah. Dude, this is so funny. We've never even talked about this. I can tell you were resonant with it, but why were you inspired? Like, why were you like, dude, yeah, let's do this fucking thing?
I think it was because Brenna was feeling this inspiration to want to like share a message.
Yeah.
And it was like also like the beings we were meeting.
Yeah.
And wanting to just sort of like share out these like honest conversations.
Yeah.
And had no idea where it was going to go. And it was really just sort of in like the resonating with that concept phase. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then like the mind, or like where I was at, like seeing spaces in that house, like with all those bedrooms, like I was like, ooh, like this could become that. And then it starts to like,
yeah. We had a whole. I think we were debating the upstairs place in that one bedroom.
I always wanted that space to be like, it looked so fun, right?
Yeah.
In the more and more epic, like, and then ultimately.
Yeah, it usually starts out in your living room on a piece of driftwood, I guess.
Yeah. It started out at Casablanca.
Yeah.
With driftwood.
Mm-hmm. I'm so stoked. Yeah, I haven't even I didn't talk to Brennan about this. I didn't talk to anyone about it, but like the origin story was such a blank in my mind. I just had no idea where it came from. I don't even remember. I just remember all of a sudden started seeing like all of our conversations that we were having through the lens of someone watching it on YouTube. And I just like could not believe how incredible that felt to me. And I was just like, whoa, this is the stuff that people see and they're like, what the fuck, man? What are these people talking about? And then there's this like deep curiosity and resonance because they're saying words in ways that you've never even imagined. And the thread depth is like 49 levels below planet Earth. And so you realize after 45 minutes of 7 different people talking about one thing, it tied back to this original seedling that was planted. And
yes.
And I just like remember being like, fuck, man, this is like next level conversation. And I'm losing my mind witnessing it. You know what I mean? I was like, this has to be something.
Thread depth.
It's a concept. It's a hell of a concept. Dude, well, it'd be sweet to do like an intro on you. I was also telling Brennan this the other day. I was like, I don't know anything about John. I mean, we went to Casco Viejo and I watched him DJ and we had some nice drop-ins, but like, I don't know anything about his childhood really. I don't even really know how he had an awakening. Like, I know that he started going to these crazy, like, hidden raves in LA at one point and started dressing like a maniac and was a lawyer at one point that dressed normally in a suit, but like
all at the same time for a little while.
And then you were thrown into it in the middle of it and you guys kind of just went through it together or something. So, dude, this could be your Satori story intro on like how you got here. And it usually starts with a quick overview of your life pre-awakening and then like the catalyst bridge and then just like the, we're here now. Right?
What comes up is when, what can I look back on and identify like when I just like went full send on like becoming like that which I am, like going for it.
Oh, dude, wow!
Right, like wow. And then unfold as it may, storyline after storyline is going to present itself. Like
right,
when did the spark of an awakening happen?
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's when you opt. Like for me, I think about it like when you opted in for the unknown.
Yeah, dude, tell me about how you opted in, man. How did you get to opting in? Yeah, you just put this on the wood. It's okay if the wood gets wet. She from the ocean.
You doubting my pour?
But also like, just brief background. You prior to the catalyst is so incredible and wonderful.
Oh, from what frame of reference? What?
Just like kind of before the catalyst occurred, like I would like skim through like, this is what I want to know. I want to know like born in here, like, regular childhood, pretty chill, was like maybe a little bit traumatic. Like we don't need to go into it, like whatever it is, and then just like went to law school, became a lawyer, was number one in the country, and then was working at this firm, and then this catalyst occurs.
Right on, man.
Something
all
like
right,
that.
Dude. I will ride this train with you. Drive it, like lead it with the questions. Like I'll just answer.
Great.
Like,
okay. Wonderful.
Yeah, this will be the hot seat opener.
Okay. Yeah, this is your Satori story.
Yeah, and it's perfect. We can, part of it will be this like in law school, the method, the Socratic method, which is basically just being asked questions over and over and over, like by a professor. Like
wow,
just continued questions.
Okay.
And you, like go through class, and all of a sudden, like go from university experience to this experience where like is a totally different way. Anyway, so Socratic method style, you can just like drive it anywhere you want to go.
Okay, cool. I love that. Nice. That's a really good method for running Satori stories.
Yes, because that's what like
just came through. That's it.
That's what we want to talk about. Is like what's coming through that's interesting. Like,
yeah.
All right. So, all these points that you hit, like, let's ride through them, man. And let's start it off. So, where was I born?
Yeah.
Ohio. I was born in Ohio. I was born at a hospital at a university. My parents were working at, they just finished graduate school. They had met each other in graduate school and they started this adventure together.
Wow.
Yeah. And as I've come to like experience and like know more and getting to know my dad more recently, like leaving Iowa where he grew up, that was a big deal. Like, and to like set off it to like another like place and field and go off on this adventure with a partner. That was a huge departure, but that's where they went. That's where we were. I was born there, but grew up in Michigan.
Yeah.
Moved there when I was 4. And so I moved into this little town in Southwest Michigan where they worked at a research lab. And pick it up from there. Where do you want to go?
What were they doing in the research lab?
They worked at this biological station on this little lake. And they had this sort of, it felt to me, and they worked there their whole careers, this sort of like dream scenario of this little, lab on a lake where they did their own long-term research experiments on, the aquatic and plant life in the area. And that's what they're like.
So are you living on a lake?
We are living near a lake.
Near a lake.
And their lab is on a lake.
Did you go with them a lot to the lab?
Oh, yeah.
All the time?
Yeah. I mean, everything from working there, as a youngling through middle and high school. And just like before that, like, coming into their work and hanging out with them. And
holy shit.
Coming after school and later doing experiments and stuff. And like, I grew up in these labs.
Experimental.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of experimental moments with your parents. Were they like playful about it and like having fun, or were they more serious? How do you remember them being for you?
They sparked curiosity in me for sure in these moments and these experiences of like, and my desire to explore and to learn and to know, like, the 400s, if you would. Like, and that was really like rewarding. And I think in like time together that I look back on like fondly, and it was like, I can see how it really benefited me.
Yeah.
And then there was also an element of like where they were working and where we were in their work, like, there's workspace and and they were really dedicated in that for sure. Their like love of like science and engaging with science, it was something where they had a lot of their energy that they
poured into.
Yeah.
Wow. I just can't. That's incredible. Feeling into your childhood. And the 400s is a reference to Hawkins' scale of consciousness, in case no one picked that up. Traumatic, great, and like mostly loving, perfect. How would you rate it on the scale of trauma?
Oh, scale of trauma.
With your parents specifically, because obviously there's many characters in childhood, but parents are the big mirrors.
Yeah. I think it's when we start to acknowledge, or when I started to acknowledge trauma as a concept that I did experience.
Yeah.
That's part of the awakening.
Yeah, because there's not really an awareness of it being traumatic when you're a kid.
Oh, and a denial of it, and a rational, like,
yeah.
John the lawyer probably would have always told you that there was no trauma. Like my childhood was great or fine, or some sort of picture of like the small town life that I lived. Like,
yeah,
how do we describe the memories? How does the mind assemble them all? And for a while, I just didn't experience like the concept
Mm.
of, having trauma, and certainly didn't see any value in an acknowledgement of it.
I was just like you for a long time too. So it comes from this place of like denial and ignorance.
Yeah. And shame, certainly.
Guilt, whatever.
Hold these spaces you really don't want to go touch. And so it's just you feel it's much easier just to compartmentalize them. The mind can like sort of pack them away and then believe that they're not part of your beingness. So you're not going to be able to face them, have to face them.
Yeah.
They don't exist. So present. Trauma is present. And like, what a blessing to be able to see them from here.
Yeah.
And, to be with other people and beings who are vulnerably and honestly like going through this journey of allowing themselves to see their whole experience. For myself, for example, of like just loving it all. Not like needing to explain or justify or good or bad. And like what brought us to right here, right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it had these moments of like, like right now is wonderful. And the mission right now, like feeling the what is like to love all of it.
Yeah.
To say like, yeah, maybe as we go through this and you like I got no traumas that I'm aware of or like are going to be spared from, the what is in conversation as they come up. And what they are and their meaning and how they passed and flowed. Like I know that I've come to see and clear them like recently and more.
Yeah.
And recognize the depth of like what that is. And do you want to hold on to any of it? Do I want to hold on to any of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So small town.
Yeah.
Small town upbringing is what it was, man.
Wow.
And that's like, what a cool lens.
Yeah.
To bring us to right here.
Yeah. Small town living right now, that's for sure. Right next to the water, too.
Yeah.
Not far off from childhood, if we had to say. Yeah. Wow. It's such a portal to go back to childhood. And then when you just try to, like, one, for yourself to go back there and remember that and truly feel into how that in itself could be seen as a lifetime.
Yeah. How do you want to slice it up? Let's see how to slice it up.
Right.
Because I know what's coming through right now is a sense of like, if asked to tell the story, the mind will present, like, I can just feel it like stacking up certain memory strings as a chain of like, hey, what'll sound right in this conversation with Taylor here right now?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Yeah.
And this idea of exploring it through your interest and what you're feeling into in the moment, that spontaneity, like then the whole range of, the experience of like what childhood was like.
Yeah.
For us both to like, get into, man.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm curious. So where are we? Where are you?
Dude, we're in childhood and just feeling into that. Just wow, it really, in a certain sense, grounds you into this moment in this new light of kind of a contemplative witness observer like space of like, wow, So you're telling me I'm watching the movie right now. Got it.
Yeah.
And this is the movie that I'm going to contemplate on like childhood in 10 years. Whoa, man, is that what this is? Like in this real right now moment? Holy shit. You know, I mean, there's just a certain funny lens to that thing.
Oh, yeah.
It really, yeah. It's this thing of just feeling like, man, like the portals that come up in conversation in this format and how it really transports you there is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Childhood. So yeah, I want to like kind of jump and go to graduation of university. Then what?
Oh, I went to law school. That was the plan. That was the plan during university. So that was like the where to go. And then I ended up going to Atlanta with a friend of mine. And we set off on this adventure to go like to a city, to go to law school in a city. And for some reason it ended up being Atlanta.
And so you become a lawyer.
Yeah.
Are you, you know, there's a saying as a child from certain parents in this world, you may know what's coming.
I can't wait for what's coming.
My father wanted to be a lawyer. Okay. And this is how I know. I don't know much about my dad, and I fully intend to learn more when I go and see him. Because it's funny how little I know about him. But I have heard through great grandpa or through my brother, I don't know, somewhere on the grapevine, that my father wanted to be a lawyer. And his father, as a very religious man, wouldn't let him. And he said to my dad, apparently, and this is just story through the grapevine, I don't know where this came from, man. Lawyers work for the devil. That's what was told to me when I was a kid, man. So were you doing that, man? What was going on?
Oh, yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell me about it, man. What's it like?
Dude, it was this ride of this like academic journey, like with this like achiever spark, like loaded up in me. It ends up like shooting out of this cannon. And then where you land working for, like I landed working for a law firm, you know, biggest, baddest, whateverest, like paying back debt, whatever story we told ourselves to like justify, like, you know, this insane like sense of like economic proposition. Like all of a sudden you're being paid this boatload of money.
Yeah. I mean,
and you're important. And you have like, because you're like part of this firm. Cases. Now you're part of this firm, right? Like, you know, you're much bigger than just your own like whip star itself. You couldn't do it on your own.
Yeah.
That's part of it, right? Like, don't try to like go do this on your own. Like you need to validated by the firm.
Yeah.
And man, like, you start to, I recall feeling it in real time, like giving away parts of your life, these parts of your like life that are like, you know, pretty good as a law student. You're working hard, or like parts of intense work, but student life, especially on reflection, like plenty of time to do things you enjoy.
Yeah.
And like you get these propositions along. That's what it would feel like. You have a successful experience, like all is good, and then you know you get to sort of this next level, next year of work, and like a big case going on or a thing going on, like a vacation planned, or like there's like, will you chip away at like okay, well now I'm going to choose work. I'm going to choose work, and then like there's that funnel of that experience where I felt like, you choose to give it away. Like
you give it all away.
You give it all away.
It's what you're doing when you're in that.
Yeah. And at the same time,
there's no other way.
Yeah.
At least if you're working for the devil and you're really in it.
Like because of the story, the belief that like you could buy freedom.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, you know, the
That's
liberty
carrot,
of economic
man.
choice,
It's
right?
like you're like
do whatever you want.
Financial freedom, buy anything, go anywhere, da 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 da.
Right?
You know, like I'm the shit.
Yeah.
Millions, no billions.
Yeah.
Like, don't want just millions. I want billions. You know, like that's the extreme.
And that's like, it's also like, what is the soup of like all of the, like, call them traumas, call them the experiences of childhood, like,
Yeah,
that roll you up into like whenever you launch out into the world. And for me, that launch out into was out of law school. But some people, you know, it's out of college. Some people, it's, you know, when you launched yourself to Panama.
yeah.
But like, and then you get out there and, you know, there's this sense of like achievement. And do you believe that money is a pathway to like
Wow.
a greater and richer and larger life experience?
Yeah.
And I did.
Wow. I did too. And I'm so glad I went down that path because it brought me here. Isn't that incredible?
And like, how do we shoot out into this? How do we shoot out into a place and like, here we are in now, like this, like you just watch sometimes people like blast and crash land into you. And, like, it could be from any direction.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful to feel how it then unfolds.
Yeah.
What is that shift of like, for what are you gathering? For what are you using your gifts and your talents?
Yeah. Yeah.
And whether you are selling them or whether you are creating with them.
Yeah. Wow.
Right.
Wow.
And that's what like part of like this journey I've been feeling.
Community versus capitalism.
Whatever. What are the real ways when it's like this magnifying impact?
Yeah. And it just feels so good. It feels so good. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Dude, you can't just be in it for money. It sucks. It sucks when it's like, I'm recalling my own company and going through that, or any company. It's just like, or just any part of the life where it's like, money is the focus. Like, there's no heart in it. It's like missing, man. Like, you know, and now having done this like full, like, you know, 960, not a 180. Like this was like, you know, a hell of a jump. And coming to this place where it's like, holy shit, this is the only way. The only way is to just give as much as possible at commodity level prices or for free. And that's all we're doing now. It's not, no, your 400% markup is not allowed here. This is not what we're supporting.
No, right. And it's like this, where are we putting our attention? And it's like this pointer to it being, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm sensing is the way. And I'm going to do that like all in bravely with my being.
Yeah.
And it looks like this.
Yeah.
Right. It looks like
leaning in, like just full on, man. You know, when people say, what are you doing out there? I'm fucking leaning as hard as I possibly can into this community concept that is radiating through my being at all times. And it looks like a normal life.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't look like some Superman shit.
No, it's
the most natural looking and feeling thing ever.
It's how it feels or what the like. Yeah. This happening is unfolding.
Yeah.
Like that's something that was coming to me on this walk over. And what are you experiencing during it? From what frame of reference, what perspective? And like,
wow.
You know?
Yeah.
That's part of the
what lens.
Amazing joy of what this all is.
Right.
Is that. And even that's happening, that a shift in perspective can and is occurring. And that, you know.
Yeah. Wow. Holy shit, man. Yeah, it's a thing. It's an absolute trip. To just kind of like be so in the moment, you know, and feel just how after so much time passes, we'll call it time, but like you start to sense how the lenses that you're viewing the world through are getting thinner and thinner. And like the distortions, the layers of distortions just get sliced and sliced and sliced and sliced. And like you come to this place where you're slicing with like a literal razor blade at like a size that is just like slice and slice and slice. You know what I mean? And then you get to this like diamond level laser beam that somehow comes out of this portal, and you're still like slicing off these very like fine, thin layers, you know?
Yeah.
That's just like what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you go further and further back while at the same time being more here than ever before. Isn't that crazy? What? I mean, that's like the physical sensation of what it is to rise in consciousness.
Yes. Yeah. And what a trip to get that experience. Like, what is this?
That's the ultimate medicine journey. You couldn't ask for a better drug than that. Life.
So you get to like ask these questions and drop into the space of appreciation, right? This deep appreciation.
Yeah.
Like the answer to those questions are so magnificent.
Wow.
So magnificent. Like the grand scope of what's taken for granted. In terms of just, yeah. And it's always this beautiful invitation. Just take you right back here right now.
Yeah.
And notice.
It's the same road every time. You come back to the same place. Right here, right now. It's like you kind of incarnate and now you're really off the road, man. You're gonna have to go through a little bit of a process, but this was what you chose, so have fun. And then you start to remember more and more, and as you remember, you just get closer to that road that you were on before you incarnated. Like,
yeah,
what a medicine journey.
Yeah. And just to really appreciate it all, like what this chain of events that you're going to look back on and be like, how we got from there to here right now as we're connected.
It's insane.
Yeah. It's this incredible unfolding of like skills and perspectives, and like each being that you meet is carrying a piece of, the code of it all.
Of that street. That street. They all got a piece of it, man. It's incredible. And then like the realization and like the leaning into of that, like, okay, yeah, we all are from this same source. Got it. This concept of like we are all one. It was intellectually understood for a long time, very long time. That one was easy. Oh, okay. So there's a God, and that makes sense. Creator of all. And then you get into like the subjective experience of it, and you're just starting to like, your eyes go wider and wider and wider, and you're just like, wow.
That keys up. Like we're just gonna weave through. The layers are just starting to like tap in. That's what's great here, right?
Yeah, it's insane. Threads, you're like 42 like threads deep from a lawyer to
so
just
now we're gonna weave right back into that.
Yeah,
which is like the subjective. That was a dirty word. Like I felt like a lawyer in so many ways. Like objective standards and satisfying objective standards, and so much of like developing an unimpeachable argument that like
wow.
There was this enormous focus on that as a lens and work, and it shapes the reality of your experience. And I remember like applying objective standards, like built by your own mind, right? So they're self-serving, but like it's just this like lens of objectivity and like subjectivity being sort of like an emotional, disruption.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Fully
from the truth, which is objective, which is scientific and rational and logic.
Yeah.
And, that's where that field binds you or bound me.
Yeah.
And then, and then you come to recognize that it's the other way around.
Wow. That
Right. It's one of those starting over points where you like humility of like, you let it all go, because that whole thing is part of that. And how much of it are you still holding on to?
There is this incredible quote that relates to this. And it's by a saint. I don't remember it. I'm going to paraphrase it. I think I first heard it from Muji. It was that finding God is kind of like when you're knocking on a door for a long time, trying to get in, and then all of a sudden you realize that you've been knocking from the inside. It's kind of like that when you go from 400s to 500s to 600s, you know what I mean? Right? Isn't that incredible?
Isn't it incredible? Man?
We're trying to like stop knocking, you know what I mean? The lens is getting sliced and we're knocking less, but like the occasional knock gets you and you're like, wow, man, all right. Shit, I still am at this fucking door. I haven't turned around yet.
Right?
I'm trying to turn around and forget about it, you know? Like,
yes.
There's the kingdom, like, you know?
Each time you turn around, you're just like, how could I have missed that?
Yeah. How can maybe? It's incredible. Holy shit. Yeah.
That's the beauty of these teachings. I think like those types of examples, and it just called to mind a sort of just quick blitz of others and of the obviousness. They were trying to like, what are you working on? Like, realizing the self.
Yeah. What else is there to work on?
It's just like the eternal message of the sages, like when it's like, turn around, recognize you're inside.
Yeah. You know? It's just like, what in the world?
Who's holding on?
Like what?
Who's convinced you that you need to be studying to be a locksmith?
Yeah. Like, where is this thing? And it's funny because in the like Eastern philosophies, they call it the veil of Maya. And I love how they put a fucking description like that. I mean, Christ had some incredible teachings, the kingdom of God is within, and that's incredible. But at the same time, we wanted the Krishna thing of like the veil, yes, because it's a very good matrix example. I remember
seeing a map as I was starting to like explore the teachings.
Yeah.
And the veil and like what was it about? Like all of a sudden these concepts, and for me it was verbal, intellectual, like reading them in a book, like, non-duality.
Yeah.
So it's starting out intellectualized, and it started out like, like then it started to have like, and then here's how Maya's unfolded, and it gives this.
Yeah.
I remember that arriving and sensing like, okay, that's here. Applying through to everything else. Causality, sensing, like all of these planes of existence are well within.
All of it.
All of it.
Wow. Holy shit. We're like about 100 threads deep. I almost lost the thread for a hot moment. and just to like not go off of it, but it felt like a 42 billion ton train leaving at rapid speeds. And I was like, holy shit, did I just get off the train or something? And why is it going so fast? It looks so big. You know what I mean? It's just what happens when you like, go on these portals. These portals.
It's a noble role, the thread bearer.
Thread bearer. Yeah, we're gonna have titles.
Are you the host? Like, what do you see yourself as, Joe? Look, well, I'm really
I'm
sacred thread bearer.
That's incredible. Wow, that's gotta be a name. Oh, I gotta get like a plaque or something, just to put it here. The sacred thread barrier carrier. Oh my god. This is that's wonderful. That is like a new form of this concept of shooting bullets out into the matrix. It's like, who can bear the deepest thread? Who can send it?
Still holding it.
Yeah, still holding it. Who can really go down the thread and hold it down there for a hot 2-3 hours?
It's what all my training has been for.
Right? And then you wonder what does it look like when a bunch of people are sages and there's a whole lot of technology around you, and like, what do they talk about, man? And what about if they're not living in a cave? You know, what if they just live in like a regular home and they do a lot of gardening and like they just kind of have a peaceful life? But when they drop in, it's like, what in the fuck are they talking about, man? And why does it feel like it's far beyond my intellectual capacities to comprehend? Because damn, all I know is like the Big Bang, motherfucker. Why is this shit not resonating with me? You know what I mean? Could you imagine?
What like version of you are you channeling right now? All I know about is the Big Bang, motherfucker.
Do you know what I mean?
I do. I see you with the backwards hat on.
Someone
right now.
like tuning into this that only believes in causality, and how difficult it would be to comprehend this conversation. It would be impossible.
Yeah.
And to just follow along. I mean, that's the point, you know? It's like, well, yeah, this is a thing. The ultimate thread bearer, you know? Who can root us down the deepest in a conversial way? Conversial. Is that a word?
You heard it here first, kids.
Wow.
Listeners.
Yeah. It's just like the best. You know, I wouldn't have asked for it any other way. Let me just fuck around and have fun and like talk about like the deepest stuff known to all of the universe as a primal chimpanzee who still has this reptilian brain strapped to his body, but like, you know, the spirit's so strong that like I'm just still tapped in and I can speak the word.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And you've been receiving and like cultivating the voices. How many sessions have you recorded now?
5, 6.
And what is coming through? Here's a curiosity I have. Like in that, now you've sort of like, you've been the repeat player in a number of these kind of like, what are you feeling in the collective and other these beings that you felt called to? Like,
dude, that's a question. Wow. I'm so glad you asked. First of all, every session is so extraordinarily different. Extraordinarily different. The field that is created is unique by virtue of it being two beings coming together. It's the field. And I've felt the field and how incredibly different it is with every individual. And I've felt it so strongly. So the first person I did a real podcast with was Joshua.
Yeah.
And then it was Brenna. Mm-hmm. And then it was Sasha. Sasha came in and dropped in. And today it was Lolly.
Yeah.
Okay. And now it's you. So there's 5 beings. All of them have been so wildly different, but yet so heavily rooted in talking about God, divinity, source, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean?
That's been a common thread.
You can pull it out. So, and then lift it up.
Yeah. I figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah, let me grab some water for us too.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to, actually, I'll leave the mics on. Hot minute break.
We're flying.
Oh, yeah.
So, dude, I mean, I know you had a lawyer thread, but also I just wanted to go down this thread.
Yes.
Threadbare. Wow, thread. Such a key word in like these conversations. Do you know what I mean? It's like a language thing for this type of field. Was the personality of different sages. And so like you have Christ, you have like, you know, Gandhi, Krishna, like Buddha, you have all these different Hawkins, you have all these different people. They come from all different sorts of walks of life and are so different. Maharaji, like Papaji, Ramana Maharshi, you know, you got all the like the Muji Baba, like there's a list. You go through it. And like a Rolodex, you're kind of feeling into the personalities of each one and you're feeling into like, man, wow, okay, got it. Okay, so they're all like that. And then you start to feel into just like your own beingness, and you're like, fuck, well, I love listening to like classic festival music that sometimes is like could be perceived as like MDMA music that's kind of tribal. Like I'm trying to think of an artist. None of the artists are coming to me. Like kind of music, like I love their music, like it's incredible. And then I'm listening to like, I'm blasting like tracks that just feel like typical festival music that like BPM is too high and it's electronic, and I'm just like, holy shit, am I gonna love this for the rest of my life?
I love mainstream?
Like, am I gonna love this? Because it's amazing and it's incredible. But like, I'm just picturing the personality of the sages, and like as you evolve and I evolve, like and as the human like level of consciousness rises, like how that is seen, from that level of just like, wow, okay. Holy shit, that's incredible. We're so unique. And you're feeling into like mankind rising up, and it's like, we're going to have a whole lot of unique sages walking around, like, and it's not in a matter of like decades. It seems like it's rapid fire picking up, like, holy shit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what does it look like when you start pointing full send, at the truth?
Full send.
And
full
then
send.
It's like they are examples of what it looks like along the path.
Yeah.
And any idea that it's just like these angels fluttering about.
Yeah.
Like, no. It's all these beings with personalities and unique expressions of what like these deep truth seekers, like realizers of that, like going through the process. What are they sharing? What are they expressing as? What are they doing? And which the ones that are interacting with, human beings.
Yeah. What is it like?
Some of these truths are passed in,
Yeah.
Those are the built into the matrix.
Right.
Talk about that, right?
Oh my God.
The motherships.
Wow. Could you imagine if we had Christ on camera and the miracles? I mean, could you imagine? I mean, he'd have an Instagram account. All his 33 miracles would be pinned up on like his stories section. Like, yeah, like multiplying fish another day, like water to wine like it's nothing. Sick children, bring them all to me. Healed. They want to kill me, let it be, just like capturing all of that and the rawness would transform the world. And people want that, and they don't realize that Maharaji in the temple is it. There's no difference, and like they're like, but we want the Krishna, the blue man with all the fucking arms and shit, and the Jesus with the man who spreads the ocean, and like, what about all the mystical shit that they did? No one's doing that anymore, Why is no one splitting the ocean? Like, where's the multiplying of fish? Maharaji can't be a fucking sage, man.
Like, if I can't go somewhere and get a guaranteed free fish,
like, I don't believe in God.
Prove it to me. I remember that feeling rising, as I was introduced to religion, the sense of like, as a scientific method comes into the mind, it's just, all right, like, this all is suspect.
Yeah.
And then now you look at it.
Yeah.
Where's your attention? Like, where's your attention? Is it in doubting, or is it in like, being on the path of the truth and then seeing what is presented to it?
Yeah.
And you can like come to know, and then to learn the stories of these beings. Sages, who, like, whatever descriptive phrase we want to say.
Yeah. Avatars, sages.
Going from like intellectually being like reading like a human interest book, like, oh, this is like an interesting story or something, to having that experience of receiving like their teachings or the story of their being. Like, in the case of Yogananda's, it's coming to me right now, like that, like it's part of what is unfolding in your life, and at least something is shared through the receiving of their words and their teachings. And it's so just beautiful to see that these, it's about where you're at, I think, what you get from them. Like, you know, and that was a piece, like the bridge into this, or one of the bridges into this, and this commonality for us of Hawkins was like, he just intentionally took you through this ride. Like, talk about like, what's it like for someone to sit there and like look down and you know, like, that it comes through this lens of like impossible to intellectualize, conceptualize love and relationship with the human experience, life that is demonstrated in these ways. And like one of his was just like, for me, I felt like I was here, like, here's a manual, and just by reading it and experiencing it will take you from the right brain, like into this flow. And just like lead you through it. And by the end,
the most clear pathway you could ever take from a scientific standpoint.
Right. And by the end, it's done its work.
And by the end, wow, it has done its work. Do I ever feel that in my beingness, having read so much of his books and listened to so many lectures?
And when the teaching is true and you can trust the process and it's intended to spit you out the other side.
Right? It's the canon that you went through. You were just talking about the canon. Yeah. You're like, where do people shoot from? You know, like, did you shoot from the 12-book trilogy with like a splash of Yogananda Maharaji and Ramana Maharshi? Wow. You don't know how big that canon is. You know what I mean? Just like, wow, man, like, holy shit. Okay. That was a lot of sages. And you lean heaviest on Hawkins. Wow. Or like the Bhagavad Gita, like, wow. You know, surefire bullets, you know, to the other side.
Yeah.
When leaning in.
Yeah.
But I feel what you say, because I feel like when you read it, it's a seed that gets planted and then it just waters itself somehow. Like, it's not, hey girl.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Like, it's not something that you necessarily, it will just take you on its course when it's the degrees of truth that are like that high. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
There's no distortion in it. And so by virtue of its purity, you're almost perfectly like now obviously this is exaggeration, right? Like, it's not guaranteed that because you read the trilogy you're like on the other side, but for those who really lean into it, wow, are you ever leaning in on the right stuff? You got the right borders.
Yeah. If you're in like a full send mode that is like increasingly like, how open are you to like just letting it get broken down again and again and again, the frame of reference?
Yeah.
Then you can make these extraordinary, you can receive these gifts that are just being like out there, published out there. You can get the book.
Yeah. Dude, move your mic a little bit closer.
Oh, yeah.
You're good. Don't worry. You should be able to like, you can probably pull it more towards the center and extend it out. There you go.
Good.
Perfect.
Right on.
Yeah. Perfect. The canon from which you shoot from is kind of like the preview to your movie.
The movie of who you are. Yeah.
Like who you're shooting out to be.
Right.
Like who did you shoot from? Like who did you really send it on? Well, I put 400,000 hours into Hawkins. You know what I mean?
I know who you are.
I put all my bets on this one man.
I know who you are.
Right?
I see it expressed before me.
Right? It's incredible. I love that reference. The canon from which you shoot from. It's just like incredible. Oh wow. Dude, if you didn't have a further thread on this thread, the lawyer thread would be great.
Well, dude, this takes me back to like, it's so funny how clear it is now. On a mic, like in front of a camera, like I would do this and do this all the time in the form of depositions.
Really?
And then going on the record, and
wow, this is you.
And so
you were like built for this.
And what was coming through to
me
is like,
shit.
Yes, holy shit.
You were built for it.
Like, what could it be like? Here's the thing. Here's a thread we're going to loop back into. So we're going to hold it here.
Okay,
when you were describing this sensing of like what things would look like on a YouTube channel and lens, like that's what a part of as I was getting to see who you were and like what all of the experiences led to this being before me. It's like you see the world or have a lens of seeing the world like through a YouTube experience.
Yes. I can see it.
And so that's part of the gift of like knowing you and being like it opens up this whole
dimension and portal.
Yeah. And then
field and
like a field, and we're merging them in.
And
part of it is like the playing them in. So part of this is like where I get taken to now, like, and I recognize this there, is like the frame of reference of like taking a deposition, like asking questions. And then what came to me as I was rising when we were talking, I was like, what an experience.
What an experience.
And I was just in a deposition that was like one written, like, what would it be like to have your deposition taken by like, a being with the highest level
form of truth
being the true goal.
Just 999.9.
And like, isn't this the ultimate expression of a deposition? Like, a search for truth.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible, that thread.
Starting with your background, classic deposition technique.
Right. Wow.
And then dropping into the good stuff.
Wow. Yeah, dude.
And threads. Oh, and then you take the notes and you loop back to these threads.
I feel like I got this from you because I never, this was not a thing. This was not a thing for me. I don't recall it being a thing where I was sitting around with a group of people and all of a sudden 30 minutes goes by and someone ties it back to something that we were touching 42 different threads on, and it just blew my mind. And then it fully came through, I feel like, from just being around your lawyerness. Of course you're doing that. You did that so much where you're deeper and deeper, and then here's the original thread, deeper and deeper, and then here's the original thread. Remember that?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So that's
such a gift.
That is like the lens that's sort of wrapping this whole thing up,
right? The perfect lens, the lawyer lens. It couldn't get any better.
And that's
you're just built for service, fit for service. The lawyer lens. You know what I mean? Hawkins had the doctor lens. It's incredible. It's just
what happens when these lenses are just pointed, you turned around,
right? Laser beam.
Instead of blinding light bouncing off a wall into your face.
Just
right.
Wow, straight to source. Yeah, man. Wow, I feel that so heavily. That's incredible. Yeah, just feeling isn't this an incredible experience to hear you in this way? And to hear me in this way? I mean, talk about entering a field. Okay. Talk about just making a field, but then entering into the field. When I take these headphones off, I feel like I am now back to being just Taylor. There's a sense of okay, cool. I'm not tapped in to another being. If I imagine this in my third eye and I see us in a spiritual realm, there's a big tether. It's kind of like the Avatar moment where the tail connects to the mother tree. And that's how I see it with the podcast. It's a real thing where the field is created and then it merges and then the two tails merge. And it's just well, here we are as this unity consciousness, hive mind formation. And it's I'm so stoked that YouTube brought me here. You know what I mean? Just marketing agency brought me here. a marketing agency. I ran a marketing agency, man. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I
got the marketing lens.
Yes.
Like to the utmost degree. To the utmost degree. Human psychology, man. From the business lens of utilizing it for maximum profit, therefore understanding to the utmost degree how to master the game of attention and get attention. Like to make that your like your ultimate like sword. You're just like in the trenches. You have no idea. And your spirit's just hammering the sword like day by day. And then like there's a day where you like pick up the sword and you're just like, wow, I got the sword of marketing. Holy shit. Someone fucking back up. This thing is huge. And it's like, it slices through like the whole planet on like massive broadcast frequencies. Like it's going through everything. And like, I see that fully now. And I'm just like, wow, let me call in a lawyer. This is like the one who picked up his lawyer sword and just send it on a podcast and then like have a conversation and cut it up into 1,000,000 bullets, shoot it out like a galleon loading up on the right side. You know what I mean? Just like bullet after bullet, and then you just call upon the crew and everybody just reloads. It's like broadside. Yeah, shooting everywhere. There's pirates all around you. You're like, these pirate ships don't stand a chance. They don't see that our galleon's built with the light of God. They don't see the cross. You know what I mean? They don't see the Om symbol up in our sails. They can't see through their storms. We're over here in the sunlight. You know what I mean? I'm just picturing a circle and like it's this radiant sun in the middle, and then there's these sloops, and it's a storm everywhere.
Yeah.
And we're just shooting 360s all the time, same shit every day. We have conversations and we put them out with the world, and just seems to resonate,
Yes, it's a beautiful thing. Framing of the perspective of bullets into the matrix, because it called to mind for me at first, like thinking about the movie. And it being sort of like this underdog story, like well, the machines are out there, like really with the upper hand, or like all these scary contraptions. Yeah. And the idea of just a series of like divinely, radiantly powered, galleons loaded with cannons circling around, firing in, just.
Dude,
it really
I'm seeing like in the distance,
really
like
opened up for me,
like the storms, man. I'm aiming the cannon and like Chat GPT, and it's just taking it
May
out.
thy aim be true.
Artificial intelligence just you know what I mean? And then like whatever else,
you just fire
whatever else comes up, we can show all the logos of like the best things in the world. And like these cannons are just like, they have certain light codes in them, and one of the light codes in the cannon is like community and like unconditional love and joy and peace, and it's just like it comes in with this hot field.
So that's what we're in the galleon right now.
We're in the galleon. And like when I'm speaking, every time I can see this hot metal slab that has like just enough ignition on it, and I jam it into this medieval cannon that has like some hay that we got from the fields, and then it lights the hay.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is you like in the conversation when you're like blazing into a moment.
Yeah.
You are firing the
light cannon.
The light cannon out there
with
like
whatever codes.
You're that kind of captain. You're gonna fire from the front lines yourself.
Cannons.
You're leading the crew from the front lines.
Dude, we are everywhere on the ship at all times. At all times.
That's the opportunity.
Man, when I'm setting the space, I feel like, okay, man, the sales are going up. Like we're getting ready to sail. Everybody wake up. We had a nice cozy nap. It was wonderful. And now let's sail.
Yep, it's a night sail. You know.
It's a wonderful thing. This, you know, just zoom out to like this, what we're talking about the past now. This conversation that we just had about the galleon and stuff. This is the stuff, man. This is what I want to put into a comedy episode, like the Midnight Gospel stuff. Like this is it.
Yes.
This is the stuff.
This is, yeah. I'm with you.
And
I will watch.
This episode that like, yeah, no, this I will watch. Yes. No, for sure.
Yeah.
Like I would happily watch that. This, wow, I lost this thread. Hold on, let me come back to it. It's like a fleeting train every time, man. Full speed, you know. We were coming out of a thread into the present moment, talking about the past. What were we talking about in the past? What we were just talking about? Man, what were we just talking about? Do you even remember? What were you talking about when you were talking? Do you even remember?
I mean,
I don't even remember.
No, we've got to pick it up from right here, right now.
I know, but this thread that I was on was lost, and it's an incredible thread. It's an incredible train.
But see, the belief that it's lost, it just simply isn't coming to you right now, which means it's still a live thread.
Oh yeah, she's live.
You know,
sometimes the train just
it's gonna just come at. That's the thing. You leave it out there.
Oh, I got it. It's back. Okay, see, we were talking about I would watch that. Yeah, for sure. That this episode for me has been the most visual and like hilarious at the highest degree of like a truth, not even a truth, but speaking of the truth in this like realm that, I mean, nobody else that I've spoken to really has read Hawkins, let's say, or like has maybe fully like dove into it in the way that I have. I don't know what it is, but the resonance in our field creates these threads that are possible, that are like so rooted in divinity and like sages and you know, just that realm, like up there, like the top shelf bookshelf in Casa Ananda right now is like it's like that, you know, it's that shelf, top shelf, and it's all 600 plus, and so I'm not necessarily saying that like our conversations themselves are all 600 plus. What I'm saying is like it feels so good to speak of that realm in this way. Do you know what I'm getting at?
Yes.
It feels so good. It's like we're talking about 600 plus stuff. Incredible. This is what I like thoroughly enjoy. And we're speaking from like this hilarious lens that's also very visual. And so I felt like, wow, this would be a fucking episode. Like for me, this one, I would pick this one. Like, I've done 5. I love them all. They're all great. But this one as a cartoon would fucking blow my mind. If someone could put that into visual form.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know that like, the power of your field to bring things to life.
You know Rick and Morty? Do you know that show, Rick and Morty?
Taylor.
Okay. We still haven't gone through your whole life history.
Oh.
I know that you once played Xbox.
Beautiful
and like,
loop.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a nice little thread. It's going to take us
let's
to the...
Yeah,
it takes us to Munger Tolls, and it takes us to this amazing being that I met.
Yeah.
And the thing that this firm offered.
Munger Tolls.
Yeah.
The best firm in like all of America. I mean, Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's business partner, the guy that I read every one of his books on, you were at his firm. I just have to put that out there on the table.
Yes. And for like, you know, what that played out was like this sense of like the top of a particular like heap for me.
Oh, dude, top of the mountain.
And the beings that were there, it's because like life is about, for me at least, like so much of it, the beings you meet and being drawn to groups of compelling beings, or like,
yeah.
And there were just all these extraordinary beings that were like drawn to that beacon, and I met through there.
Yeah.
And one of those beings,
I'm with you.
His name is Guha Krishnamurti.
Is that
incredible being?
Do I know this person?
No, I mean,
I don't think I do.
No, I just say that.
This is a sage. I know that we're talking labels and whatever,
You know,
but like, would you say 600 plus?
I mean, Guha is so awesome. Guha, someday soon, you can hear this and love and laugh at this. But we met there as like these, just like in this alien realm. We both sort of acknowledged we were in this realm. And I remember seeing and becoming friends with him, and we hung out and went on all these fun adventures. And as part of this process, like, he introduced me to Rick and Morty.
You're joking.
He introduces me to Rick and Morty.
This man who's like sounds like Maharaji, the name that you just mentioned earlier, introduced you to Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What? Okay.
And that's where it came from. That's when you say Rick and Morty and you say, do I like, that takes me right to that.
Can you say his name again?
Guha Krishnamurti.
Wow.
Yeah.
If that's not a Baba, if I've ever heard of a Baba name, I mean, wow.
Man.
His Holiness.
And just an incredible being. Wow. One of the beings on the path I've just like, this like calls forward these recollections of our experiences and how like, awesome they were within this whole fast forward experience of life as a lawyer and all that. Like,
yeah.
God. And yeah, we connected the other day randomly for a moment. He's like, the blip is in the field, it's out there. So.
Holy shit, you connected with him the other day?
Yeah.
How long's it been?
Oh, years. Yeah.
That's incredible that he reached out.
Yeah. It was a fun moment of it all.
Okay. Kind of want to ask what he said. Did he reach out to you?
Oh, gosh, I can't even take you into how it began. But I remember how it ended. And he was sharing, like, he had just, they just had a child. Wow. And then I was talking to him about a little bit about Panama, and then this like quick exchange. Like, man, if you ever want to come visit, and I remember him saying, like, yeah, man, absolutely. The kid's like, 8 days old, but I'm gonna like, let's talk about it. Just like remembering how he was down to go on experiences together. That was another thing. I remember one time he came up to me. We were at like a law firm happy hour. I hear you like to go out. This is like when I was doing all of the things.
Is he a lawyer
being
too?
a lawyer and going out late. Oh yeah, an incredibly talented one. Oh yeah.
Okay, got it.
He's one of the like.
Got it.
These like beings drawn to the flame.
Wow.
And there was many of them. So we'd sit around these law firm happy hours, and it would just be like, what would it be like to hang out with like, all of the, blank kind of lawyers like you, like out there in the world, where they all gathered at one happy hour, like we got to play out that little fantasy realm.
Yeah.
And it was,
wow.
The conversations that would come up, the antics, the threads at this point, like it was just for bantering.
You guys are just so intelligent too. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, and so yeah, the intellect would like, just like like love up it, like do itself,
and like
into this whole pleasure, like self gratifying realm.
Like the world, like you're like, I understand all of the world. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, but that's like the degree, right? Like, of just like, I could talk about like so many things,
yeah.
Like I just have such a vast library to choose from.
Yeah.
Advanced mathematics, like rocket science.
Yes. Wine.
Like
classical music.
Everything is just like, wow. And it is fun to talk at that level.
And yeah,
it's a trip.
And then you'd meet some beings within it that just, that have this spark of connection with, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know how it's going to play out and for how long, but while you're in these chapters together, they're just like, you were drawn to. And that was like this unfolding, and he was one of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So he introduced you to Rick and Morty.
He introduced me to Rick and Morty. And this is when I'm also starting like post Burning Man to go like out into the LA underground community and like go out. And he would share like he was like didn't drink and was sober, but he liked to go out like late at night, and he liked to like explore the curiosities of
this was a sober realms. Man too.
And so he would come with me sometimes. We would go on these adventures into these underground parties, until sunrise.
Sober.
Yeah.
Sober.
Me and my colleague from work who was sober. And And we went on a few of these adventures together, and it was like just a blast.
Wow.
A blast.
Wow. I'm so shocked. I hope he comes here. I hope he comes here.
I hope so too. I'm gonna now look for. We have a series of like photos, like from like a photo booth. Wow. I believe we saved it. We brought it down.
Okay, yes. At some point, I want to see what this being looks like. Because in the beginning, it was like I was picturing some Ramana Maharshi, and I was like, "Wow, man!" And then you were like, "He's a lawyer," and then, holy shit, okay, he's got a suit on. Like, wow. I thought he was wearing a diaper under a cave. It's like I saw something totally different. Missed on the lawyer part.
Yeah.
But wow. Okay, so lawyer, and then Rick and Morty.
So that was, yeah. That's what was rising. That was like the cannon was exploding in another way that way, right? And shooting this being out.
Yeah.
And
wow.
Launching into this new space.
Wow. Okay. And so who was what was the big catalyst? Like the big the lighting the cannon catalyst for shooting out, and then being I'm on the path, and now I'm wearing unicorn diaper. You know what I mean? What was the big catalyst?
Oh, feeling the power of community, and then the creative spirit unlocking.
So did that happen during Burning Man, or when did that happen?
Burning Man was a massive vessel for both those things. For community that connected me to, and through the camp that I joined, and then also what unfolded in the creative spirit. And then when you choose, that's a place where you see and feel what choosing a full send into this
unconditional love.
Yeah, or the realm of the creative, or creating things just for the art of it, or this all of it.
I have no idea what it's like.
And it was one of those pathways where it clicked into this sense of awe and wonder, and capacity of what is really available. And so it was a cage rattler in that way, as well as this place of meeting all of these amazing beings. And now this new definition of what's an amazing being to me, and what's an experience that is more and more in these states of joy and of
peace,
bliss, and of just
peace. Well, how would you define this emotionally
right now? Yeah, peaceful for sure.
Right?
Some moments so flashing calm? Joy, especially when you're gyrating around and so expressively into it. But it's interesting, right? Contentment, the state of being, and
fully here now.
This sense, this story that can be out there, right? Of that I remember going through that's not enough. High expressive joyful is a more more state.
Yeah, no, not at all.
And the end it's just
different.
It's just different, right?
Different expression. Wow.
And it's just being comfortable to dropping into and recognizing. I was going to ask you that question. What does the field that's sort of presenting between us feel like, especially as it's sort of the most
it's the most potent for sure. For sure it's the most potent in terms of just feeling so deeply connected to you. The flow just feels incredible. And I don't even want to use the word caliber because it's not the word, but the topics that we talk about for my personality are so fucking incredible. I love them fully to the deepest place in my heart, because I am typically reading either Muji, Ramana Maharshi, Hawkins, Saint Francis, Yogananda, or anyone before I go to sleep. And so this for me is the ultimate thing to jibe around, mixed with some background Satori story of John. It's just this incredible, there's so many parallels going on. It's you're this backstory of John, and then all of a sudden, we're in a galleon shooting off cannonballs at the dark storms of like the lower consciousness levels. It's like, what in the fuck, man? That's the best thing I've ever talked about. Like, this is incredible. This is what I want to talk about, you know?
Yes.
And so like,
yes,
it's been different in the best way. I've loved every single one, but for me, this one has just been the most flowy and hilarious by far. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good deposition.
Yeah. Yeah, so peace. You would say peace and some moments of joy. I would say that too, man. Yeah.
Where are we in the thread
Yeah,
of
we were
your
talking about
reflections of all the beings that you've talked to?
Oh,
What
we
you're
didn't
feeling from
we didn't really go into it. Aside from just I now, like, because this is new to me. Like, connecting with people is novel experience for me still. And I'm not joking when I say
know that reminder is just so like good to hear.
I've never been to Burning Man. I've gone to like a couple festivals, but like with a close group, so there wasn't like massive community connection. I've never been in a community other than like right here, right now, which is at the birthing place, because you guys came here and like, well, we're gonna slap a cafe in the middle of this motherfucker and like build a community because no one seems to be really doing it. And so I just happened to like fall into like the mecca of a community explosion that occurred in Vanau when you guys came here. So I've felt your presence and Brenna's presence and just like the degree to which you guys have connected with other beings. And Brenna shared this with me the other day. She was like, yeah, Taylor, there was this guy that lived in our place in Venice. There was like an 8-foot like section and he lived under some plastic. And he was cooking in our house with our children. And I was like, Brenna, this was a homeless man? Yeah, there's a homeless man living outside in our house. He's also on our family plan. He has a phone. He just texted me the other day. And he was my guru. And I'm looking at Brenna and we're walking down the path and I was just like, holy fuck, this is the context that I have felt, but never been able to put two and two together. Like, where do they come from? They had a homeless man cooking in the kitchen. He's like, yeah, he loved the girls. Wow. And I was just like, what the fuck? This is incredible. And so tying this back, it's been different with everybody in ways that have allowed me to feel into what it means to drop in with another human being and fully connect to them, where you have that avatar tail-like connection over a fucking conversation. Mm-hmm. Doesn't require 22 years of us going through turbulent times. Yeah. And like, that has blown my fucking mind fully. Like, I am just like, what in the world is this?
Yeah. We used to assign closeness by longevity, right? Like my oldest friend.
Adversity.
You know, or like this, been doing something for this many years and therefore like more substantial.
Right. Quantifying it through time.
Someone you just met versus a friend you've known since childhood. Who knows you better?
Who knows me better? Oh, such a paradigm. Yeah.
Right. It all comes in this sort of shifting into the subjective, into the experiential. Yes. Like, does it actually feel like? How do you actually feel?
These are the terms I love to speak with. Subjective and objective. It's so incredible. They're such powerful words when you speak with them.
Yeah.
It's like a big delineation between left and right.
Dude, it's objective as the model. Like, you know this, marketer brain.
Yes.
Right? Like,
it's incredible. Oh. Yeah.
Projection versus the what is, you know? It's expectation.
Yeah. Is there more tea? Oh, praise the Lord. The tea is incredible.
What is subjective bringing up for you right now? When you
like the journey of enlightenment is a process that occurs through a subjective realization. So like when I hear someone use the word subjective, I'm like, praise the fucking Lord. This is like what we're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, and I love the term itself because it really divides. Here is the intellectual brain that is rooted in a Newtonian, Darwinian causality mindset. And then here is the non-linear brain or being, you could say, that is not just tapped into their brain, and they're tapping into the infinite, the one, the capital, reverentially capitalized I. You know what I mean? And so it's like, oh, got it.
Right. That's the objective.
Yeah.
Then there's only that. And all the shards of it, all the experiences, subjective.
Yeah. So I love that word a lot. So you were with Guru Malalasha, I forget his name, but another lawyer who seems to be wielding the lawyer sword, maybe.
But dude, you know what it was? Is this realization that we're characters in a play. Right?
Yeah.
And one of those parts of the realization.
Did that hit you after you had met him, like through him?
This is like what it's connecting me into now as part of this. Like, because like you saw it, like we were playing, and some people take it very seriously. And playing a lawyer is one of those ones like you can take very seriously.
Holy shit, yeah, you can be a serious motherfucker.
And even like the cynical lawyer, like, yeah, you know,
pessimistic,
doing it, but whatever, you know, just got.
Yeah. Wow.
That there's all, but that this is a character that we're choosing to play. And I remember feeling with him that he was like, it is voluntary. Like, while it makes sense and not who one is, right? And that just peeling it back. And where does it begin peeling back from?
Yeah.
Of this recognition of being characters in a play, and like, you take it seriously if you want, but like doing your best at something and taking it seriously are often not the same thing, you know? And so that's what was starting to happen too, was like through all of it, like starting to ask this question about what you like really want to experience in life. Like what is coming out of this new wave of like meeting people who are compelling, and then this like creative onslaught that's coming into like from certain lenses and experiences, and also this sort of sense of, you know, going through this lawyer journey and seeing that we're all sort of characters in this play. And what play do you want to be involved with?
Okay, but like, did that realization occur via inspiration of this being? Or was that like an initiation in a sense of like, whoa, and it was kind of a moment of like let's say a big reflection, or just a download, you know, however you want to call it.
It's blips of these things, right? Like,
yeah.
whether you want to call it at the time.
Do you feel like there was a big blip for you though? Or do you, because for me, I feel like I had a big blip. And it was just like, well, hold on. Well, that's a good thread. But like, or do you feel like your journey was a lot of small blips that like led to, wow, or was there, and I'm curious to know, because I want to know, like, is there a big catalyst that you feel like was, wow, this was a moment where like it really shot me through? I guess you could say like a big cannon that shot you really far, because it's all relative.
Yeah, I would think it was this sort of tension that built between these two poles.
Yeah.
Of like this John, the character of the lawyer, and this like aspiring, like this path. Yeah. And John that was emerging and like through this path of like creativity and community and expression and dance. And they were divergent, and they were being pulled into different ways. And so like eventually that charge got to be so much that it like exploded out of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's an incredible way to describe it. Holy shit. And like the tether just breaks.
Yeah.
And you fall on the side.
No, you
that's like higher on the scale.
You launch out right into it. And that particular launch trajectory, can you bump into I certainly bumped into things.
Right.
And one of those things I bumped into was Brenna.
I know. Wow.
And how, like, the way that was another one, the circumstances of which we've met and connected.
Wow.
How could you have drawn them up any other way?
Wow.
Than this sort of like, all of it had to be that way in order for it to be true.
Wow. Yeah.
And so
you're on a thread. So
that's where it leads to, I think. It's like seeing life, start to see life from this other perspective of what's being important is, the experiences of being, connected with the amazing beings that I'm coming to find in my life. And this is when Kashmir and I meet.
Wow.
It's sort of in this time.
Wow, Daddy Cash finally is in the painting, man.
Yeah.
He's been so empty for like, I was like, there has to be someone that I know of who's the character that comes in at some point. And now we're at Kashmir.
Right. And then, we go through these lifetimes together.
Wow.
There and arriving here. So it's just as it opens up, right? As it opens up, this unfolding happens as opposed to a script playing.
Yeah.
And
you're not even really trying to write it.
You can't.
Do you know what I mean? Like you're not attempting to write it. And that's what makes it so wow.
Yeah, that's the real, like, what's actually going on. And it's not your overscript of this like sub character, on another show. Like,
yeah. No, it's not that. That's not going on. It'd be pretty scary if it was, man. Oh, that's the Veil of Maya that we're referencing. That subscript thing. And like so many beings live there, man. So many beings are in that state of just like separateness where like, fuck, man, that plank of wood is not me. Only me is like this body that I have, and like, I don't know about anything else. Fucking scary.
Isn't it interesting, right? This is a piece, and it's very true still, that it's active in me, the taking for granted of me and I. Wow. And why does that not raise it? Why is it like not natural somehow? Or why is there this hidden obviousness to this question, and like even told by the sages that we've read and connected with that question, asking that question enough, just like reading Hawkins and going,
who am I? What am I?
Will yield that which you seek.
Yeah.
Which is not at all like an answer to the question. Like, and still, we go on with our life. We find ourselves in these moments of like zoomed in on some day-to-day occurrence of a thing, or like,
yeah,
what are we going to cook for dinner? And haven't answered the question or asked the question. And like, who am I? What is this experience? And from what frame of reference?
Yeah. Wow.
And then we would just take it for granted and play it all out. And then you can see that I propose this. You propose this to people sometimes, and then like, just sort of like, this conversation isn't interesting to me. However they sort of say it. They're just not interested in going into it.
Yeah.
Whatever would be our resistance to understanding that question?
Right. Wow.
What could ever possibly make sense as a reason? I don't have time. What do you mean? Of course I exist. Of course.
Of course. Have you pondered it greater?
Okay, existence is like, I am. What's next?
Yeah.
This body. Where's the mind? Like, and it's not to like play through the exercise now. once those questions start to become interesting, woof, isn't that another cool part of the journey?
Right.
And I remember that
Oh, wow.
coming in sort of the splash of the launch out of that cannon.
Right. Wow.
Those Tesla coils that
Yeah.
had fired up to the
Oh
maximum.
my God. Yeah.
And it was through there that like the path of some of the teachings
Yeah.
and the teachers started to unfold and these examples. And in that time and the arrival of the girls, it just was this beautiful space for them to, like, the teachings of Eckhart Tolle and Ram Dass and others to sink into
Chris.
our being and just would sit with them for,
Yogananda.
like throughout the day as we were at home.
So incredible. And Kaj was there.
And we're all there together. Yeah. So we go through this ride of LA experience, for 7 years before that. Kaj and I, it's like all over the map, but like united in sort of the sense of like he was someone that I met, and right off the bat of our connections, full send into the experience of like,
Wow.
what's going on in this life, and let's bring out every drop of it.
Wow.
And then how that went from external in LA toward an inward journey. And it was this time that we were apart, and then we came back together and found that we had both stepped into an awareness of this inward journey being the way, and that the other way was to go crazy and explode.
Yeah.
And then we embarked from there. And then in that phase, like we began like the path of working together and then living together
and doing this gym together.
And then it all finally and
then cafe. It was like,
and then there was another launch, like of like building up of all that energy, and then it exploded into like a laser beam to Panama a couple of years ago.
It's so insane that you guys are here running a fucking cafe that is not a cafe, but we're gonna call it that,
Yes.
What in the fuck is going on? Like, that's just really like how it feels like. And I know it's like sometimes normal to walk in there, but like sometimes, man, I walk in there and I'm just like, is this my reality? Does this place exist here in the middle of nowhere with red light and like leg therapy, like air compression and arms and back and ice baths? And then there's a vibe plate and you can work out and do X3. Oh, wow, man. There's like, a table over there with red light for the face and the full body. Wow, got it. Like, then there's a bar and they have really incredible smoothies with all the ingredients that you would put in your smoothie every day, plus some other ones that you wouldn't know of. It blows my mind. And then I feel into the contrast of you being a lawyer, and I'm like, Jesus, man. That's a zip file that is like ever unfolding and infinite, and it's like massive gigabytes, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But like this, what do we pick?
What a journey.
Right? That journey, the 30-year journey or more, and 10 years of that is being a lawyer.
Wow.
And yet, because it's what happened last, I consider it like sort of as a default. We check into this like that's what I was before.
Yeah.
And what, like the 10 years before that, the 10 years before that.
Yeah. What was I before that? All I know is the most recent chapter.
Right, this teenage kid, like like with the 10 years of working in restaurants, like, but how would you diminish them? Like that mindset crunches that into this sort of nothing field of like the before,
right?
Until it all paid off.
I have a thread.
Yes.
You know where it takes me? It takes me to the place of who created God. When you feel into that and your mind goes into a blankness because you cannot comprehend. The human mind doesn't have the capacity to comprehend.
No, it's an unanswerable question.
Infiniteness of that which has never been born and will never die.
Yes.
It is the unborn source. And so then, like when you were talking about the contrast, like being like the past experience and how it shatters, and like you can consider yourself, it just takes me to that like nothingness space when you start to contemplate the infinity of like God, where it's just like, man, it feels like that. it feels like, wow, you can't even really comprehend it. You can intellectualize and be like, oh, what are you talking about? That's the past. Those are memories, you know? And that is to miss the entire movie for what it truly is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Well, what I'm hearing.
This is where you become a master maneuverer of the boom arm. Yeah.
Still in practice mode.
Yes. Yeah, with you. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, man. I'm just gonna be right here. Oh, this is the format that I'm feeling right now. It feels great to just lay down.
Yeah, I'm ready to meet you right here. I'm ready to meet you right where you're at.
All right, wonderful. I feel like I'm tapped in, and I think my voice sounds perfect. You were gonna say something? We were talking about how that thread that you took me down feels like trying to answer the question of God, and how it just takes you to this like sense of what the fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, and those senses of what the fuck are these fun.
It's what it's all about.
They're these fun little points of like,
Wow.
I don't know, awareness, or like which way you're gonna go? Is that what the fuck? Like, oh, what does it all mean? Or it's all
Right.
this chaotic sense of uncertainty, or in any sense, like, feeling unsettling? Or is it this what the fuck of like, whoa,
So incredible. Wow.
right? Just this whoa.
Like the most incredible movie.
And to the extent there's an opportunity to direct attention
Right.
in the experience
As a character.
what happened. This is what I'm feeling right now. Like this, like what is it like? What does it feel like to point it at that? Like this experience of like just is it life?
Yeah.
Wow.
Life. Wow. Yeah. You know, Hawkins talks about this like this point, and for me, like if I could just somehow like activate a cheat code in this human experience of like, you know, BCABC or something like this, I would love to go to this place of the karmic wind-up toy. You know that place that he talks about?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where you're just a karmic wind-up toy?
That's,
I remember
that's
hearing
this idea
that.
of the character, right? That you
Right.
are this character.
Wow.
Or the you that you think you are.
Yeah.
Is in fact a karmic wind-up character. This like, and the playful and the goofiness and the clarity of that transmission. Like, recognize that I'm telling you this from a place of knowing it.
Right.
And you can receive that, or you can think I'm crazy, or you can ignore it, or you can intellectualize it and say you figured it like out. And the truth is subjectively you have not, or you have. And if you have, then it would be known.
Right.
And can you trust that?
Right.
And can you trust that you
Can you trust that? Wow, that's a big one. I love that.
You know, you can't get there with a map. There's just these pointings.
Right.
Toward the realization.
And it's so subtle, you know? When the lens is thick and you're like, okay, I gotta stop resenting my parents. That's an easy, low-hanging fruit. You're really not straight. You're not reaching that high up the apple tree. And then you get to that point where like it's so subtle, and there's little like apples at the top. They're like microscopic in size, and they're little things that you gotta pluck. And like
you just get up there and you feel how subtle it is in terms of just being in this now moment. Like, I love the analogy of it's like riding the crest of a wave. Wow, do I ever love that. And Hawkins used it a million times for good reason. That's what it feels like when you are really fully in the present now moment. And you could almost say that you maybe forgot that you were a body. And it's like you look in the mirror and you're kind of like, what in the world, man? Damn, like I don't even know who that is or what's going on. But like that feeling, you know, of riding the crest of the wave and just feeling how you're getting like more centered and like more in the beautiful center of it. And like you're getting into this place of feeling like you're just floating. And it's like you're no longer trying to stay in the crest. You've hit that locked position.
Yeah.
Like whatever that may be, you know, like maybe the Buddhic eye opens or something. That true state of self-realization occurs, and then it's just like, wow, man. Whew. I'm so looking forward to it. You know, that's all I'm saying. I've had the glimpses and fucking incredible. Like, dude, this is a great conversation. I feel like I'm in the high 500s in terms of LOC. I don't know. I've never tried to calibrate. I never will. But to me, I feel like I'm radiating somewhere up there, and it fluctuates from like whatever unconditional love to like something else. Sometimes there's states of joy and ecstasy. But when I tell you that like the experience I had, that Matt, the guy who works closely with Clayton, who's the doctor that works with Hawkins, calibrated this experience and calibrated it at 695. And when I tell you that like what I saw is so different from this, it is unmistakable. Like, so there is not a doubt in my mind when I know when it will hit. Like in terms of like, I am there. I am truly feeling into that which is as that which is. Like it is without a doubt. And like, so it's been wonderful to feel just like how it kind of feels like there's this chapter for me of just like, you know, I am not sending it all in on the I-ness thing. Like I'm not doing the final run thing that like Hawkins talks about, you know, like I'm not doing that. Like I'm not meditating all day and like whatever. I'm following my heart and like it's taking me down a path, and it doesn't look like a path that immediately goes to a cave in the Himalayas, you know, and just like sends it. Like, no. It seems like there's a podcast. And so you're going to have to do like 400 hours of research online. And, you know, you could be in a cave, but like, that's not where your heart's pulling you. And so it's been wonderful to be in this level of consciousness of feeling like, yeah. Okay, cool. I'm not in this like sublime peace like state. And I don't like, that's just not where my heart, like, you know, it's like, it feels like it's a wave that's just like going there. And it's so wonderful to have a benchmark as to what that is, and to know that like, okay, I'll feel it when it happens. Like there will be a presence, and then like it, you know, will be here and I'll know it. Whereas before that experience, man, and I've never even told you about that experience, but before that experience, I had no idea. I wouldn't be able to like understand it beyond the intellectualization of reading it in Transcending the Levels of Consciousness. But when I experienced it for a temporal like 6 hours, I mean, dear fucking Lord, I could look at a facial cleanser gel bottle and cry of joy because of the radiance of God coming out of that thing. And it was for 6 hours. And I'll never forget that. And so like there's this true sense of yearning for like, yeah, okay, that's the ultimate thing. Like that's the ultimate movie. And I am just going to stay centered in my heart and follow it to the best of my abilities. I'm not going to try to like act like I want to, like I'm just going to go to the thing and like become a monk and like go to a cave. Like, no. I know I don't want to do that shit. Like I want to play this life out a little bit funner and like throw festivals with my friends and stuff, you know? So it's feeling,
Yeah.
it's long thread, but like a little bit of a journey on my current chapter and like what's going on in this whole period of life.
What comes through for me in that is just recognizing what your path is as you step out of some form of character you're playing out.
Yeah.
And there's this temptation to like, oh, so then the spiritual path arises, or this set of questions, this way of being that's unfolding, that's exciting and new. Like, well, how do I go all in on that? Well, I can go live in the Himalayas.
Yeah.
And that's actually not authentic at all. Like, unless it is.
Unless you're truly feeling it, but
from where are you acting becomes, and to be acting from the heart.
Right.
Is this path that opens up to really knowing what that means. Yeah. And to do it. To be able to do it and trust that that is where you're going to be led. And so if it leads you to, the outskirts of the world, whether that's considered here where we are, or it's considered, somewhere else, it will.
Right.
And to not chase after it is part of the discernment that rises, and so you're not getting distracted. Right.
Wow. I love your articulation of that, dude. Holy shit.
And the bonus is you get the energy back to be that which you are, and to like witness and like send energy and love into that unfolding, which is the actual piece. And and then
it's just so much funner.
Yeah.
And like it is the natural path. Like, wow. The way you described that was so beautiful.
And it's ultimately like, this is another way of saying that's what's being true is, right?
That's the way. That is the way. Like you literally, it wouldn't, like if it wasn't true to your heart that you want to go live in a cave, then like that's not the way. Character. You're playing the character. But like just to follow your heart, and if that looks like, all of a sudden you're like becoming a DJ, or all of a sudden you're like, I don't know, starting a community or a cafe, or like it's just, you're just like kind of there sitting in the aisle and you're watching the movie and you're like, whoa, holy shit, man.
Dude, laughing and loving and eat the popcorn, right? Like,
right. Yeah.
Because the truth is way like wilder than the fiction that we could make up.
Wow, that's fucking insane. Yeah, man, that is insane. This is the point where a lot of people tune out. They're like, they're fucking stoners. Yeah, that's what happens when you smoke a lot of weed. Menaces to society. Somebody get them some help. This is the best. This is the best.
It's sad to see these
ever.
High potential.
Yeah, high potential.
High potential youngsters.
Yeah, I knew you were going
burn
there.
out and become hippies.
Yeah, I knew you were going there.
Yeah,
I love that. Right? Isn't it incredible? Oh. I mean, judgments. I mean, it's the first apple on the tree. It's the lowest hanging fruit. I mean, once you pluck that one, I mean, at least you've made it through the first like layer of like just, the path. Can you just love everybody? I mean,
okay. Yeah, I mean, a wise man once asked that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I was like, wow, man, I would love for my parents to watch this. And then I was like, what would they think? Oh, okay, we're stoners. Got it. It was all like, I felt like I went to the Akashic Records for a hot minute and saw a future timeline, and like, subjective to change, but like, it was just for now, for what is, if they saw this now, I feel like it would just,
I'm seeing an
Yeah.
image deep in the future, you know, linear time,
Linear
where your family is going back through the old archives,
Oh,
and they pull out
classic.
this
Legendary.
whatever SD card from the
Oh.
backup audio that's still around, from the double
The double redundancy system that we had set up.
They find there's one tape left, and you know they really get to experience who you really were at this time in our life.
I mean, I saw Harmony and Poppy at like in their 20s, man, and I saw them watching this because I was feeling into it, just like your story and how I've never heard this story before, and how, man, like how many people get to hear this story, you know? And like, wow, they're gonna have this story. It's like so incredible that like they have this, you know?
It's
No matter what, like, dude, if I could have an interview of like my father and his father, 2 hours, 3 hours, fuck yeah, I would tune into that to see my dad talk to his dad for 3 hours in the middle of a living room at like, let's say whatever ages they're at. Like, yeah, that'd be some hilarious entertainment that I would love to tune into and like feel into my lineage, you know, for the sake of just like, wow. Yeah, so Harmony and Poppy watching Brenna's episode 2 will be so incredible. That's mom.
yeah,
You know?
like talk about a moment. Their arrival is a piece of it too. That sort of what was the course before that, and after, like all of it unfolds in this way, and that was like a sense of a dimensional unfolding,
Wow.
an opportunity, and yeah, it leads us so much into that question of the unknown, like what's going to happen next, becoming this unanswerable question. So like who created God, or like, well, then who's in control? That's another one of those questions, right? Is anyone in control? Is it this karmic wind-up toy that's playing out in all of these? And surrendering into like that it's definitely not just like in mine alone. This mine, whatever that is, still like acting as. There's participating in beyond that. And being with the family, and like this feeling of experiencing joy through the communal experience of life with other beings.
Wow.
And seeing it unfold from their natural state perspective, right? What does it look like before the conditioning? Like this is what it looks like.
Wow.
And what do you do with that? Do you just inevitably allow it to get stacked on, or do you participate in like living from the heart?
Wow.
Being guided by whatever is feeling the most true, and allowing that definition to change.
Yeah. Incredible.
And then you get the moments like we had tonight, right? Where the girls are now just engaging in these conversations.
Oh, I was just thinking about that. They're full on conversing. Let's go to Panama City. Let's get in Satya's car. Her car is black. And I'm like, how old are you?
Right.
What is this full on conversation that's happening that's never happened before all of a sudden?
And why is it so compelling? Because at one level, it's just like, oh, there's a stage in the kid's life where they just say, well, why? Well, why? Well, why? Well, why?
Right. And drive some parents crazy.
The being in it was instead this extraordinary moment of a field.
Oh, bro, that was a field. Just bearing witness to that, I was so grateful for. And that's the beauty of like this awareness, right? Is like it gives you that wonderful, beautiful witness observer like perspective that allows you to not get annoyed by it and like feel like stop asking me why, but to just like engage into their movie and fully be present with them as they are unfolding in their pathway in the natural way. And like actually when they're really tapped in too, you know, like when they started running across the playa, east or whatever north, and they're just
into
going
the dark,
full speed. Like they're like super speed, and they're going full speed, and I'm like, fuck, like okay, they're like 100 feet away. I'm gonna go run after them. I run after them. I like capture them, and I'm like, but we're gonna go home. And they're like, no, we're going to dance. And I'm like, holy shit, okay. And they're like, Satya. And I'm like, whoa, you guys know that a static dance is happening a mile that way? And you're full sending it? Like, do you remember this being a conversation? Do you just feel the radiance of Satya's static dance? Like,
but it was true. Whatever you want to believe. All those stories sound pretty wild, though.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. And like the stories come up, and like there is this higher awareness of just like appreciating the moment of like, wow, am I grateful to like bear witness to what was a miracle?
Yeah. Right.
A miracle.
And that miracles can fly right by us when we're not looking for them, doing something else. Imagine like the feeling of being stressed in that moment. Girls are running away.
Wow.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And that's with a blade that like,
wow.
Talk about a razor that I felt with the girls on their arrival. Like your state, like my state, determines whether it's like a miraculous, like heavenly, right, experience or a hell.
Wow.
With the exact same action. Wow. Even if that action is like, having no like, honoring of any request parental that was given and just taking off based on like what they felt inside of them.
Right.
What does that bring up in us? Like that's what it is, right? What does it bring up in you?
Yeah.
And are you what in the world, or like what in the world?
Yeah.
And how powerful the difference in that is.
Oh my God. It's
and how incredible it is that that's coming into like sensing you can live like that.
Yeah. I am so stoked about them, man. I was telling Claudia the other day, I was like, these girls are on MDMA all the time. They're on a full MDMA journey. Like every time I see them, it's like, pah! And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Like your source is strong, girl. And like, like it's their personality, right? Like their vibe is coming through so strongly. And when I see like other kids or other twins or other whatever, it's like, it's so different. It's so different. And it is such a beautiful reflection of their current state of being. Yeah. Like it's the most wonderful reflection.
Yeah.
They're at a festival all the time, fully peak dose. Like, and when they're tripping and they're not having fun, it can really go the other way.
Oh,
like
yeah.
It's a big swing. And that's what happens when you're flying high, man. You got a long way down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude, they chose full send right off the bat.
Right. It's incredible.
Yeah. And just like be with beings that are naturally that unbound.
Oh my God.
And that energized. It is an undeniable truth of what an experience can be like for a human being.
The like sheer bliss that they opted in for
and this
is beyond comprehension.
This idea that we grow out of it naturally.
Oh, that's my favorite idea ever.
Giving it up or like having it like, pulled away. And it's just like, what are we doing? We're going through this human experience and we get to do it with ourselves and with the girls and with whomever else comes in through this place where we are right now. Wow. And it is so extraordinary.
It is. And you just gave me this flashback, man. I don't know how old I was, maybe 12. Oh, this is a fucking memory. I got home from school, and my dad got home from work a couple hours later. He comes home. This is such an early memory. I don't remember how old I was. I don't know. There's not a recollection of it, but I was small. Maybe 6, maybe 8, something. No. I was in my teens. I was like 13 or 14. Okay. It's coming back.
Yeah.
And he brought home a card, and it was a card from Hallmark or something. I don't know where he was. He found a card. He pulls it out. He got you a gift and puts it on the table. And I'm like, I read it. And I hear him chuckle while I'm reading it. He's kind of looking at it. And I read it, and it says, don't grow up. Life's a trap. And I read it. He was laughing. I read it, and I just felt kind of icky, like,
yeah.
That didn't make me feel good, man. But I don't know what intuitive empathic abilities are.
Yeah.
I'm a confused child at 13.
Yes.
And he was like, what? And I was like, I don't know. I don't really agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was this moment where
really, that's what you said in response to getting the card?
Yeah, I was like, I just don't really agree with it.
What was that like with your dad to respond that way?
I don't remember his response, but I remember feeling just kind of like this, kind of like confusion, like, what? And I couldn't explain why I didn't like it. I don't have the vocabulary to speak to it, but I can feel it energetically that like, this is so terrible.
That affirmation.
This calibrates so low.
Life's a bitch.
Like that. Like, it's like, and I'm actually paraphrasing what the card said. It may have been, because this just came up, it may have been, don't become an adult. It's a trap. It was even deeper. It was even more like savage. Not just like, don't grow up. Life's a trap. It was like, adulthood's nothing like childhood. Like, childhood's the best. Like, you better love it because adulthood's going to suck. And I just remember being like, oh, I fucking fully disagree with this.
You know what's coming up for me right now is like, yeah, that sense of like, this message and from where it's coming that doesn't resonate. So therefore repulsion.
Yes.
Is the feeling I'm like,
yes.
And what came up for me just now as you were telling it is smiling, like, and isn't the truth written right in front of us so many times?
Right.
Don't become an adult, like to take on that identity of adults.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, having less fun. I would, but I've got all these responsibilities, like
taxes.
Like that is a trap.
Wow. And to not see it is a trip.
Right. Or that like both truths are simultaneous, right? In our frame of reference. That time, like, nope, that doesn't resonate. So I'm not like, and I'm
both truths are. What did you just say? That was incredible.
And then now it's the same thing is true, that it
both
does
are
have
true.
meaning. That does have meaning. That's this paradox, right?
That's its paradox. Wow. That was some level 999 shit that you just stated. Let me explain that in Webmaster English. You're referencing how this Hallmark card and what it states about how don't grow up, become an adult, it's a trap, is a truth to the being who likes it and laughs at it and resonates with it. And because that's vibrationally where they're at, and that's their truth and their character perspective of life. And then my truth is like, I don't like that at all. And that's my truth. And then wrapped up in all of that is the fact that it's both a truth, and the degree of which it's true is relative.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's what we were just talking about. This is one of those, right?
Yes.
Same thread. Okay, cool. This is one of those moments where the threads get so deep, it's like a riddle that needs to be explained in a little bit more of a webmaster way. You know what I mean?
Right.
Pull out like the dictionary and like, that one was really good. Let's just make sure we revise that in plain English for everybody because that one was deep. Wow. I've never thought of that in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wow. That's such a paradox, man. It's so incredible. This like veil and how it operates. And it's
It's like, and it's all just within the web of the infinite one.
And that's what's coming up for me, like memory and reflection. The difference between sharing stories and memories and the reflection, like when it comes up.
Oh, wow. That's a big difference.
And we're pulling up these memories in the course of this conversation, right? And then what are we doing with them? And then, like, to reflect with them,
to contemplate with them,
to see like what truth is emerging now, as opposed to a rehashing or an evaluation or a judgment of this.
Wow. The story of it shifts.
Yeah.
Same story, different story.
And finding like, what is the purpose of like the thoughts that are arising? Or like,
it's so incredible because your conversation leads me to this flashback. This flashback gives me this unique lens on a moment in time that I've completely forgotten about for 20 or 15 years.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I can't wait.
No, that I just told you, the one earlier. But like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
okay.
Wow, like, okay. And then now we're talking about it from this lens of like contemplation and the new truth of how we understood that moment relative to when we were there 20 years ago, 5 years ago. It's like,
and what is that doing with that memory now? Like, how is that memory sitting with you now?
It's totally different. But like what it just feels like is a sense of how this contemplative conversation around however it unfolds, because we're truly just a leaf in the wind at this point, no direction. And that's the nonlinear way, which is incredible. But how it unfolds is miraculous. It's miraculous in how it unfolds.
Right.
And it makes you feel into how all like this points to that, because it is that, but you're speaking of that in language, which is maybe not necessarily the easiest thing in the world. You kind of speak from this like contemplative, like outside the box, speaking of the box, you're not in the box type thing. And so when you're talking about what's going on in the box from this really far place, you sometimes, that's where the train leaves, sometimes you miss it.
Oh yeah.
It's like, it's a whole journey. It's a whole journey, man. Crickets.
Yeah, it's weird to feel the outside world in through the mic, but you don't have it in the ear directly. It feels like a voiceover or something.
I hope someone can hear the crickets. Just wonderful.
Pals production. Yay! Purity Pals,